time has come for you to prove. You have made me proud, my son. To never forget who you are.
You know about them? They won't stop until you're dead. Go now.
Hello, and welcome to Viva La Action, the film podcast where we're talking about all things action movies. The good, the bad, and the underrated. My name is Santi, and with me as always is my co-host, Grayson.
Hello, that's me.
What's cracking?
My bones, dear.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
We were discussing the voluptuousness of your beard earlier.
Yes, we were.
It's looking very Davy Crockett.
Thank you. I need to shave.
That's okay. It looks good.
Thank you.
I think you should grow it out all the way. Like a wizard.
Like a wizard. I think because I've tried to grow it out.
Yeah.
I think it just one point it just stops.
Yeah, that's what
And it
mine
just
does.
Stops growing, and I'm like, all right, well,
Mine does that. I get to a point to where it's about, I don't know, quarter of an inch long, and then it just stops growing and gets real scraggly.
yeah.
But now that I'm at an advanced age, I actually have white hairs in my beard, so I try not to grow it too long. I'm 26 years old, by the way, everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm aging so rapidly.
It'd be like that sometimes.
It do. I have a white. I don't have a lot of chest hair, but I have white chest hairs. I have white beard hairs. I got a couple white hairs in my head. Yeah, I just have that gene where I'm just like, by age 35, I'm gonna be just an
old man.
Just an old man. Last week, we watched something objectively terrible.
Yes.
And boy, oh boy, we're back at it again.
Hell yeah.
With something that is probably objectively bad. But we'll talk about it because I wouldn't dare say that, but I don't know what you think. So
I loved it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We're talking about Ninja Assassin, the 2009 martial arts action film directed by James McTeague, with a screenplay by Matthew Sand and Michael Straczynski. That name sounds familiar now that I say it out loud. I feel like he's written something else that we've watched.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you what, but Matthew Sand is also a great name. Regardless, this film is produced by the Wachowskis, Lana and Lily, who are the original directors of the Matrix trilogy. They produced this film. It was written specifically for its star, which is Jung Ji-hoon, better known as Rain, the Korean pop star sensation of 2009. He plays Raizo, the titular ninja assassin, with support from Naomi Harris, Sho Kasugi, Ben Miles, Ricky Yoon, and Anna Sawai. The film has a ripe 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. However, it does have a 54% audience score. the film does not pass the Bechdel test. There are two women in this film, and one of them barely says anything at all.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We'll talk about it. I forgot to take the synopsis from IMDb, but the general gist is that Raizo is a former ninja of the Ozunu clan, and he is out to get revenge against the man who killed the love of his life. And he's out to help Special Agent, whatever her name is, discover the secrets of the ninja clans. And just blow up Japan with a rocket launcher.
Yep.
So before we get into the deep depths of the plot and the production history and all that crap, what'd you think of it?
I loved it.
Hell yeah.
I thought it was very fun. It starts off very. It just like it goes. There's no real build up.
No.
It's like starts at 100% and just stays there throughout the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
The main character, I feel like he trained in just Mortal Kombat. Fatalities, like that's his only. That's all he knows is just the fatalities.
Yeah.
Because some of that shit was fucking insane.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So we're talking about this movie because originally we were going to record this on my birthday. That didn't end up happening, but regardless, we're watching this because it's one of my favorite movies. If I was a lesser person, I would call this a guilty pleasure, but I don't feel guilty about this pleasure. So, but yeah, I think this is a banger of a movie. I think
it's very good.
I think, there's a dog. It's dog time.
Yeah.
Oh, dog disappeared.
That's okay.
Yeah, this movie's, I think it's good. I think it's underrated. I think it doesn't get enough credit for doing exactly what it says it's going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie's called Ninja Assassin, and there's a man who assassinates ninjas, and that's that's what you get.
It's like, boy, howdy, there sure are ninja assassins in this.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's great, and I think the lead actor is very good.
Oh yeah, he was great.
I think he does not get enough credit for being just the coolest looking man you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
It's very rare that we watch a movie where like there's a whole scene dedicated to just him being sweaty in his apartment and just like training, and it's so compelling.
Yup.
Because he's just so there's like I just hit my mic. We'll get into it a little bit later, but he went through this crazy like training regimen for this movie, and just the like statuesque form of that man's body is just insane.
He's sculpted.
He is sculpted. He looks like the statue of David.
Yeah.
If the statue of David had a haircut circa 2009, because he's really got that My Chemical Romance, long hair. It's not quite a fringe.
No,
but it's that kind of moppy, like middle part.
It's fuck, what's the Nickelback? The lead singer of Nickelback. It's like his. It's like his haircut.
Chad Kroeger.
Craig. Yeah, there you go. Chad Kroeger.
It is his haircut, but I think it works much better on Rain than it does on Chad Kroeger.
Yes.
This is a very sweaty movie. I feel like there's very few scenes where Raizo is not covered in a sheen of sweat and dirt.
Or some other liquid.
Yeah, or blood, or whatever.
Rain or
toilet
whatever.
Water. Yeah, Rain. Ah, accurate because of his name. Ha ha. But anyway, so we've talked a little bit about it. So if you haven't seen the movie, from here on out, we're going to spoil the film. But if somebody's listened this far and they haven't watched the movie, would you recommend that they watch it?
Yes.
Okay.
I will say it is, if you're not a fan of gore, or excessive blood, probably not the movie for you.
Yeah.
But if you're fine with all that, then yeah, give it a shot. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I should say I'll probably edit in like a content warning at the beginning of the episode just in case somebody's somehow slipped through the cracks. But it is very violent.
Yes.
The opening scene in particular is incredibly visceral.
Yeah.
I think like it's kind of like cartoonishly violent. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't make like my stomach churn in the way that like I don't know, something like The Raid might, where it's a little bit too real. Like it's very
Yeah.
exaggerated. Like the blood is these big, like, cartoony splatters. Like,
Yeah, and it's like an unnatural red.
yes, yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. I would recommend it. I think it's the kind of movie that like it is very particular to like my taste. But
Yes.
I think if you are just a fan of like ninja movies, or if you're a fan of like martial arts films with a little bit of like style and I don't know, just pizzazz to them, then I think you'll get a kick out of it.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so we're gonna spoil the movie from here on out.
Yes.
And one thing I wanted to talk a little bit about the production history, because it's not like it didn't have like a crazy troubled production or anything, but
Yeah.
there's some interesting tidbits. So originally the script was written by a guy who we talked about. His name was Matthew Sand. And he wrote this version of the script that he presented to the Wachowskis, and they did not really like it. I don't remember reading exactly why, but they were just like, this isn't really what we had in mind. So they roped in Michael Straczynski to rewrite the script, but he had to rewrite it basically with like less than a week before the script had to go out to the actors.
Oh God.
So he tells this story, and I have a quote from him. He says, "One day I got a call from the Wachowskis, who are friends of mine, and they said, we need some help on something. Can you meet us tomorrow and talk about something?" I met with them, and they had a draft for this movie called Ninja Assassin, which wasn't where they wanted it to be. And they said, we need a whole new draft, a whole new script, and we go to camera in 6 weeks. And I said, okay, when do you have to have the scripts? And they said it had to go out to actors that Friday. So I went home, put on a pot of coffee, and I essentially wrote a whole new script in 53 hours.
Jesus Christ. That's impressive.
It is impressive. And I think if you know that like this whole thing was like rewritten on the fly, in 53 hours, I think you can be a little more forgiving of some of the like minor kind of story problems that it has, because the story's kind of convoluted.
Yeah, it was a little confusing, and I felt like they left some of the stuff out, but
yeah. But I just think that's a fun, like, just the idea that they're like, we don't like it. Can you give us a new one? And he's like, yeah, when do you need it? And they're like, Friday. And he's like, oh shit.
Fuck. Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion that pot of coffee might have had some cocaine in it, but
yeah, just a touch,
just a smidge. He used it like powdered creamer,
Yeah, right, or like sugar.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's kind of fun. So one thing, the villain of the movie, he is played by a man named Sho Kosugi, and he's got this very like distinct presence.
Yeah,
this guy, like, he's very menacing, but he's got this great like voice, and he was cast specifically for this movie because he's kind of like a legend of like ninja movies. So he's been in like a bunch of them starting in the 80s. He did this like whole trilogy of ninja movies, which we'll talk about it at some point. Especially because the third one is this notorious like batshit crazy movie. It's called Ninja 3: The Dominion.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so he's kind of this like ninja like superstar. And they wanted him specifically to play that character. And so he agreed to come out of retirement to play that villain.
Nice.
And he's a real deal. martial artist. I think he was a karate world champion. He's trained in like karate and taekwondo and ninjutsu and like all kinds of stuff. So he's super cool, like real deal guy. But speaking of training, so Rain, who is the titular Raizo, the ninja assassin, I watched this interview with him. It was very grainy, like 2009 TV interview. It was real
Hell
crunchy, you know?
Yeah, my favorite.
Yeah, it was shot on like a Sony Handycam or whatever. But he was talking about, he said that supposedly, and I always kind of don't believe these numbers when they say them, but regardless, he claims that he trained for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 8 months to get in shape. So supposedly he like lifted weights and he went through martial arts training, weapons training, acrobatics. And this is one of those movies where they're like, he did all his own stunts. Like he's, whatever. And he definitely, you can tell in parts like, oh yeah, that's like definitely him.
Yeah.
There's definitely stunts that are not him. Like, if he gets hit by a car, I don't think they're letting Rain get hit by a car.
No, I think that would go over poorly.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's very impressive. I think he does a really good job. I 1000% believe him as a ninja assassin.
Same.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything about this movie just works for me. I can't explain why. I just remember the first time I watched it, I was just like, yep, like this is my new, like,
yeah.
Because the thing about this movie is like, I can put it on like anytime. Like, good day, ninja assassin. Bad day, ninja assassin,
Yeah.
Because it's like, the plot is nonsense. It doesn't matter. You're just waiting for him to slice some people up again. Like, I think the movie has an interesting structure. Like, I know one of the like criticisms is that there's like too many flashbacks, but I really like the flashbacks, like especially early in the movie when they're kind of showing his training and everything. I find all that stuff really fascinating.
Yeah.
And I think they did a good job of casting like child actors who play those roles really well and aren't annoying.
Yeah.
Because kid actors are just notoriously really irritating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It just works for me. I just think it's just a solid movie.
It is. Yeah, the plot's a little there were like I didn't get the whole reason really why I forget her name. I think it starts with an M.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Maki or something, or forensic reporter.
Oh, Naomi Harris's character. What is? I'll look it up. You keep going.
Okay. I'm assuming they wanted her dead because she was like snooping around.
Right.
But that wasn't really made clear.
Yeah, that's true. Her name is Mika.
Mika, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I think is funny about this movie is like in a lot of these movies, like I feel like they would hold back the like ninja reveal for a little bit. Like even though it's called Ninja Assassin, like
right.
In a lot of movies they would start off like there's all these weird assassinations happening. We don't know what's going on. But she just comes right out and she's just like, it's fucking ninjas.
It's ninja bitches. And her partner, whatever the fuck his name was, he like kind of was like, yeah, you're kind of saying, but he flipped real quick.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it seemed a little too quick.
That's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. Aside from the kind of slightly confusing plot, it's like I said at the beginning. It's like it stays at 100%.
Oh yeah,
from start to finish. And so it's very good.
it is good, and I think I read some reviews that were basically just like it's derivative and like it's kind of, and like I agree with a lot of the like criticisms of it, because like it doesn't have a lot of original ideas, and it's not like, I don't know, it doesn't have like super crazy like choreography that blows you away or anything, but I think just the like the thing that this movie gets is that like childhood like idea of a ninja, and the idea that like ninjas are these cool like badass, like almost superhuman, figures. And this movie doesn't play around with, like, oh, they're just people. They're like, no, they're fucking ninjas, and they're like, whatever. And it kind of just cranks the like cool factor up to like 20. And like
Yeah.
I just respect the fuck out of that. Like I miss when, I mean, this is gonna be old man yells at cloud again, but I miss when movies like it, to me, this is in the same vein as something like Blade, where it's just like it does not care about like logic or
Nope.
like the rules of this universe. It's just like, this shit is sick, check it out, right? Like he's got this ridiculous chain weapon that just defies physics, but it doesn't matter because it's fucking sick.
It's cool as fuck. Well, and like the ninjas, they can like become the shadows.
Right.
I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
Like if I saw this if I saw this when I was younger, this would have been like my favorite movie ever.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Just because of that whole like slipping into the shadows thing. That was so cool. And the final fight,
oh, it's fucking sick,
is so good.
mm-hmm.
And the self-healing,
yeah
that was insane.
I like that. So what did you think? We'll go off on different threads, but what did you think about the reveal that Mika's heart is on the wrong side of her body? Because they kind of telegraphed that that's gonna be like that's gonna happen. Because like early, so the opening scene, which we haven't really talked about, there's that like Yakuza massacre, and there's the tattoo artist who, if anybody is curious, that guy is played by Randall Duck Kim, who is the doctor from the John Wick franchise.
That's why he looked familiar.
Yeah, he's got that very iconic like old man voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, he tells this story about like he encountered these ninjas once before, and they stabbed him on the wrong side of his body because his heart is on the left, or
the right side
instead of the left. And so you kind of get this implication that like, oh, that's weird, but you're like, oh, that's probably going to come back up, and you think it's going to be Rizzo whose heart is on the wrong side, because there's like, Kiriko listens to his heart and she's like, no, your heart's in there, like, whatever. But then there's the reveal that it's like Naomi Harris's character who has the same deformity. I don't know what that contributes to the story, but I think it's interesting at least.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting. I didn't really I was kind of in the same boat. I thought it was going to be Rizzo that had the heart in the different side of his chest, but
yeah,
when it was revealed that she had it, yeah, I don't know. I was like, oh, are they related somehow? I think it was a fun reveal though.
Yeah, it kind of takes you by surprise, I guess.
Yeah,
you think she's dead, and then which, by the way, that's a real medical condition that you can I think it's called situs inversus or something like that. And it basically just means that like your organs are mirrored. So I guess it's like super rare. It's like 0.1% of the population. But if anybody wants a fun fact that they can throw out at a party, Enrique Iglesias, the Spanish singer-songwriter, he has situs inversus. So So his
Oh.
heart is on the opposite side of his body. Fun fact for you.
Nice.
Yeah. Speaking of the finale, I would like someone, and I'm not going to do it because I'm too lazy. I would like someone to take that final scene and take the moment where the U.S. Army shows up and like bursts through the temple doors with their truck. I would like somebody to put the U.S. Army theme over the top of that because I think it would be very funny.
Yes, that would be very funny.
Where it's just like, yeah, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
I do love that reveal where he's like, I've got the tracker, and then all of a sudden just the fucking army shows up.
Just fucking bust through. Literally every gun blazing.
Yeah.
There's rockets going off. They're
I was gonna
setting
say,
shit on fire.
did you like the moment where he's like, all right, fire on my command, and then it just hard cuts to a guy with a giant rocket launcher?
Yeah. Yep. And
I'm like,
he doesn't
Go
shoot
ahead.
it really at anybody. He's just like, building,
Yes.
go boom.
yeah, I wasn't really sure what their plan was. I'm like, why are they just bursting into this temple and killing everyone? But it works, I guess.
Yeah, it got the
Um,
job done, kind of.
It does get the job done. I can't. I was gonna say something else. Yeah, I don't know. I just dig. I like that they make the ninjas in this kind of like almost like horror movie like monsters. Like there's all
Yeah.
this talk about like you can't, have any shadows, you have to stay in the light or like the ninjas can find you. And there's real moments of like fear where,
Oh yeah.
she like for instance, she does the super dumb thing of she goes into her apartment when the power is
Like,
out.
yeah.
But there's like a real sense of like terror because you're like, she's just surrounded by darkness and they could be anywhere. And there's that kind of like pin drop moment where she sees the envelope with the black sand inside, and you're like, oh fuck, she's gonna get murdered.
Yeah.
And I love that moment where you see the sword is about to fall on her, and then Rizo throws like the chain around it.
Yeah.
And normally I don't like a gimmicky fight scene. Like, she's kind of like, you can see the fight through her like flashlight as she's like trying to follow it.
Oh
Normally
yeah.
I hate something like that because I'm like, just show me the fight. Like, don't do a gimmick.
Right.
But in that particular instance, I like it just because it's like it adds this level of like these like superhuman, like assassins fighting each other. I thought it was
Right.
cool.
It keeps the fear there.
Yeah.
Because you can't really see the ninja.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying. And the scene in the like little secret hideout when they capture Rizo,
Oh yeah.
that was also a bit terrifying.
Oh yeah. There's that scene has a lot of carnage.
It does. Because they fight that. It seems like they fought for so long
Yeah.
in that, and there was a lot of dead people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing. Like, there's this big bright light on Rizo, and then there's like, the basic lights in the control room or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it all goes out, and then you hear that just like the whooshing
Yeah.
as they come out of the shadows. And I think one of the scariest parts of all of that was their whispering.
Yeah.
I love me some good whispering. That shit freaks the fuck out of me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like real. I like the way that they communicate. Like they're like these little creatures where they're just like Rizo, murderer, murderer, brother, murderer. Like I don't know. I just think I love that they turn them into like just these like soulless like demons. I don't know. I think they're super cool.
Yeah.
And I know it's like I think one thing that this movie gets right that like I wish I've seen this commentary a little bit on TikTok recently in like movie circles, but it's like I think if there's one thing that like modern, not just superhero movies, but like action movies are missing is like a sense of campiness insofar as like in this movie, for instance, you know, there's a moment where Rizzo is like, you know, he's handcuffed and he's like, you know, the lights all go out and they're like, we can't release the prisoner or whatever, and he's like, we all die together. Like, it's a dumb line, but he sells it seriously. You know what I mean? Like, there's something missing from modern movies where they feel like everything has to have like a joke to it. Like there's a wink and a nudge, like, oh, this is all dumb, isn't it? But like what this movie does is it's like ninjas are the most serious thing in the world. Like,
right. They are the boogeymen, right?
Yeah.
It's the thing in the shadows. It's the thing under your bed or in your closet. It's the most terrifying thing, and they do take it seriously.
Yeah. And like there's a little bit of like Mika's boss is kind of like, ninjas, what the fuck? But the rest of like, once he realizes they're real, the rest of the movie he's just like, fucking ninjas. Like, you know, like, and you know, to bring it back to something I talked about earlier, Blade is very similar, right? Where it's like, you know, there's no real like, there are moments of humor, but Blade takes itself very seriously. Like, it's like vampires are real, and Wesley Snipes is the only thing standing between us and the vampires, you know?
Yeah.
And this is very similar. It's like, if Rizzo doesn't kill all the ninjas, they're gonna get you. And it's like, it's dumb, but there's no point where Rizzo's like, no, did I just do that? Like, you know, oh, did that just happen? You know, he's like, fucking get out of the way, you know?
No, I very much enjoy that. And yeah, I think John Wick also kind of does the same thing.
Right.
But yeah, like Marvel movies, like there's no sense of dread anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's no stakes. Which like is a huge part of movies and just storytelling. Like there has to be stakes, or else what's the point?
Right.
And yeah, the stakes in this movie are astronomical.
Yeah, but I mean, and they're astronomical, but at the same time, they're very like, it's a very self-contained movie. You know what I mean? Where it's like, Mika's goal is to expose the ninjas and make it out alive, and Rizzo's goal is to eliminate, you know, the Ozunu clan and the people who wronged him, and that's it. You know, it's like if they fail, it's not like the world is gonna end, but you know, to them, it's like everything. And I think the movie does a good job of like, they both get what they want in the end. Maybe not necessarily the way that you expect, but they still kind of, you know, reach their goal.
Yeah.
And I like that Rizzo is kind of like, he's kind of just this, like, you understand all of his motivations.
Yes.
Without him having to explicitly tell you. Like, you know, you understand, like, he's doing all this because he was turned into a monster, and the one thing he cared about was taken away from him, you know, by these people who claim to love him. So he's out to get them, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like he has some sense of justice, or like he's like, I can't let them continue to get away with whatever. He's just like, I hate these fucking guys, and I'm gonna get them.
Yeah. Fuck, I was gonna say something. Shit. Oh. Yeah, I think him not having to explain anything really comes from the flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why people didn't, or were like, oh, there's too many flashbacks. I think there was just the right amount.
Yeah.
because we kind of get the full story of like how he came to be, and it helped explain his motivations, like you were saying.
Right.
And first of all, that life, like the Ozunu or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
that shit was fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Like when the master or whatever like whipped his feet,
Oh yeah.
I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
That was awful. And then he did the fucking like Temple of Doom thing, and I was like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the one thing I didn't get about all of that was the plants.
Okay.
That seemed a little out of place.
Well, I think because I think what they're trying to show is like, because in Japan there's always like this association between like schools of martial arts and then learning things like bonsai, which is that art of like making like dwarf trees. I don't know if you've ever seen like a bonsai tree, but it's that
Yeah,
like, they attach it to wires and kind
yeah,
of prevent it from growing all the way, so it makes this like miniature tree.
yeah,
And you get the sense that Kiriko is this like, free spirit. She wants to be free. She feels like she's the bonsai tree. She's been stunted. And so
right.
she's the one cutting all the wires, trying to free these trees from their, whatever. And so at the end of the movie, you see Raizo cutting the wires from all the bonsai trees because he's finally free. He's like
Gotcha.
free
Okay.
of his bondage. And I thought there was just like it's just like a badass, like just the action for the most part, I think is very good.
Oh
But
yeah.
the finale, it is hard to understate just how fucking hard it goes. Like,
So good.
like the best moment in the whole movie is when there's that other ninja who's played by Ricky Yoon, who's kind of like Raizo's opposite. Like he's like his, he's his brother that he is raised with. He's the one who kills Kiriko.
Yeah.
There's that moment where he enters the room and Raizo is standing there and he's got the two swords and there's
Yeah.
fire all around him, and they, that moment is so fucking sick.
I know. That and when he faces off against the dad,
Yeah.
and we get that nice silhouette with the fire behind both of them, and they like take their stances and then they just fucking go for it.
Yeah.
Those two scenes, I think I got chills
Oh yeah.
when I watched those. It was so good.
That is cinema right there.
It's so true.
Yeah, yeah. And what I like about those scenes, I was reading like, especially that scene where Raizo is facing against his father, and they're silhouetted against like the rice paper walls, right? That whole
Yes.
kind of scene is really inspired by like anime, and especially the way that like, they'll cut each other and the blood splatters very, artistically. That all to me felt very like, if anybody's ever seen like Ninja Scroll or Samurai Champloo, I think it's called, or any of those like old school like 90s and 80s and 90s anime, like it has that vibe of just like these like beautiful lines of like, carnage and just like, but you're right, there's that great moment where their bodies are just aligned in silhouette and it just fucking looks so sick.
Yeah.
Let
I love a good
movies
silhouette.
Me too. Let movies be cool again, right?
Right?
Like
Fuck.
like there is something to be said for staging a shot to just look awesome. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if the lighting makes no sense. It doesn't matter if the circumstances are absurd. Like the shot
This-
of him with 2 swords against a fucking wall of fire looks amazing.
Yeah. Just, like, do more of that, please.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Things are allowed to look cool. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. God.
It's
Is it really that
ridiculous.
hard?
No.
Exactly.
Like, I can't remember the last time, I watched a movie, like a modern film, and there's just a shot where you're just like, that looks sick. Like, that looks
Right.
amazing, right? Because they don't do that anymore. Everything is like shot for practicality, for like I've had my fill of natural lighting. Like, I'm fucking sick of it. Give me some
Yeah.
unmotivated creative lighting. Like,
Please.
I don't need everything to be like, oh, it's well, we shot this at night, so you can't fucking see shit. It's like, I'm sick of that crap. Enough of
Yeah.
it.
I want to be able to see things.
Not just that, but I want things to look cool, and for lighting to be used for like story purposes, right? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of movies now are just shot to like expose, right? Or they're just
Yeah.
shot like, okay, this looks like everything's in frame and we're shooting it naturally, and like, I hate that shit. It's like, we need to go back to like shooting things to where it's like, oh, this guy has a light on his face to make him look sinister, or this guy has a, like, that shit. That's movie making. And fucking anybody could pick up a camera and turn on a lamp. Like,
Right.
anyway, it doesn't matter.
I mean, John Wick kind of does that.
Yeah.
And Star Trek the original even like TNG and stuff, you'd get that really dramatic like light across the eyes.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, it's so good. It like conveys emotion.
Right.
And it provides like all of this really nice like thematic shit that is needed to help move the story along.
Yeah.
Bring it back, god damn it.
I know. Like, I understand that people have this opinion that like they don't like when there is something happening on screen that makes them aware of the fact that it's a movie, right? Like, for example, like you said, like the band of light, right? Like, that can be distracting because you're like, oh, that's not natural. That's like, like, people don't like when they can see a light on screen and they're like, you can't identify the source of that light. But my counter argument would be like, when you're watching a movie, the reality of that film is not our reality, right? You are watching artistic expression. You're not watching a documentary. If you want to watch a documentary, go watch a documentary. Like, movies should be allowed to use every tool at their disposal, right? And one of the tools that gets underutilized is lighting. Like, this idea that like Wes Craven, the horror director, used to do it all the time, right? Where you could get a better sense of a character's motivation because of the way they were lit, right?
Yeah.
They'd be half in shadow, half in light, and they're half in the darkness, or they're hugging somebody. Like, famously, there's this shot in Scream where, the protagonist, Sydney, she's hugging her boyfriend, Billy Loomis, and you're like, oh, he seems nice or whatever. But then there's this real, high, like, overcast light on his face, and it makes him look real sinister. And you're like, oh, there's something going on with him, right? But that light, in the context of the scene, it has no place, right? It's not coming from a window. It's not what. But who cares? It's not real. It doesn't have to like this is a movie about ninjas, right? Like, it doesn't. Not every light. Like, if they had shot this now, the darkness would be fucking unintelligible. Like, you would not be able to see anything because they're in a dark ass warehouse, right?
Yeah.
But there's these great shots where Rizzo is covered in like red light. Where's that light coming from? It doesn't matter. It's not real.
Exactly. Well, and like Lord of the Rings.
Right.
right? Like the big fight in the first movie,
Hmm.
right? You can see the entire orc army as if it was like lit up by whatever, and people are like, oh, that's not realistic. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, who
I
cares?
don't care, because when you are able to see that whole orc army, you're like, ah, fuck, like that's
That's a lot of Goombas.
yeah, like it provides that sense of like doom and terror of like, oh shit, that's a lot of motherfuckers we got to deal with, right?
Right.
And you can just see what's going on.
Don't you miss when you could see what was going on?
I do.
And I
Oh,
miss when movies had like a look. You know what I
yes.
mean? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of movies now that do. Whoa. Sorry, one of my
Uh-oh.
dogs just barked.
Uh-oh.
Like there are still some movies now, right, where they go for like a look, right? But a
Yeah.
lot of movies now are just like they're just shot in a very neutral, like unoffensive way, right? Where it's like, whatever. But I what I like out of a movie, like all of my favorite movies, like that I can think of, have like a look that is distinct, right? I think about like The Matrix, right? When they're in
Yeah.
the real world or when they're in the Matrix, there's that green tint to everything. There's this like pseudo noir kind of like, dramatic contrast lighting. There's like, and then where they're in the real world, quote unquote, there's like these dull gray tones and this like, but I can like picture it, right?
Yeah.
You asked me to picture like a modern blockbuster. I cannot tell you what makes them stand out.
Yeah.
Except for ones that do it like John Wick, that make a
Right.
point of like there's a look to those movies. It's neon, it's high
Yep.
contrast, it's slick, and
Yep.
it's delicious, right?
It's primary colors, right?
Yeah,
It's very, I don't want to say basic, but it's no nonsense. It's grounded.
right. But it's you can picture the blues and the
Yep.
purples and greens and like whereas with something like I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like
Literally any Marvel movie.
yeah, I mean that's one of the big criticisms of those movies is that they don't have a look. It's
Yeah.
just gray. Like it's
Yep.
just like modeled and the color grading is just weird and like fuzzy. Like
Mhm.
and DC movies are guilty of the same thing. Like I
Oh
can't,
yeah.
the only one that has a look to it is like Batman v Superman has that kind of like Zack Snyder thing going on. But even that one,
Yeah.
it's like it's so gray and like muddy that it's like who cares,
Yeah.
And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that Ninja Assassin is the peak of cinematography, but like I can picture it. I can picture like the flaming reds and there's that beautiful scene where he's like on the rooftop and it's like
Yep.
neon and he's in, even that shot, even that scene where he's killing that gangster in the bathroom, like
Oh yeah.
has a look to it, like
Yeah.
which we haven't even talked about. That scene is fucking amazing.
That is brutal.
It is so brutal. I don't know that actor's name, but he really sells being just a big galoot.
You're just a tank of a man. I know that was like when he got stabbed the first time and then he like looked up and he was like, huh, that kind of tickled. I was like, it's gonna be one of those fights. That dude, I swear to God, got stabbed like 1,000 times.
I know, and he just kept going.
I know. But then, got his head bashed in, which
Yeah.
it'd be like that.
If your head hits a toilet so hard that you shatter that toilet, you're not getting back up.
No, that's something you can't really recover from.
No.
So good luck though if you
Yeah.
attempt it.
Yeah, your brain's just a puddle at that point.
Yeah. Slurp it up with a straw.
Oh yeah. And what I love too about that scene is the movie makes like a very pointed choice to like change how it's shot for that scene. Like the rest of the movie is shot in very wide angles, right? And it's like it's shot in that classic kind of martial arts style where you can kind of see everything that's going on at once, right?
Yeah.
But in that one, they decide to go full like Jason Bourne just for that one scene. And it's
Yeah.
all just close ups of faces. And there's that amazing shot where like he kills him and then he's just fucking covered in blood. Like
Yep.
he is practically soaking wet. And he
Yeah.
just is like,
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, it's so brutal, but it's like just that shot. It just tells you everything you need to know about that guy's like psyche at that moment.
Yep.
I fucking love this movie.
It's a very good movie. I love it.
And it's so dumb. It's
very dumb. There's a lot of stuff you really have to suspend your disbelief,
yeah.
but that's okay because it allows you to just like turn your brain off
Mhm.
and just accept the rules in this world.
Yeah.
It was a nice reprieve.
It is. And I was saying earlier that it's very serious, but it does have like moments of levity that I think there's one or two jokes that don't super land, but there's a few that are, there's a few moments that are like genuinely funny. Like
Yeah.
there's that moment where Mika is like trying to get him out of the chains and he's just like very calm and he's like standing there, but then he sees the ninjas coming and he's like, Mika, you better hurry up. Like, and he's like getting kind of impatient. He's like, no, seriously, you should like move a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Like that moment is, it's tense, but it's like his attitude is funny. Like,
yeah.
Not that I have to explain why things are funny, but I found it very funny when that other ninja gets hit by the car.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty good. I was waiting for somebody to get hit by a car.
Yeah,
because especially in a movie like this where you have these like highly trained assassins and ninjas and stuff, you can't ninja a car.
No, yeah,
if 2 tons of steel hits you, 2 tons of steel hits you.
Yeah,
there's not really anything you can do with that.
It kind of reminds me of there's that scene. It's like an opening scene of an episode of Supernatural, the piece of media we always return to, where Bobby is fighting. I think it's like a ghoul, and he's like he doesn't have whatever special thing he needs to kill it. And so he just throws it in a wood chipper. And And they're like, oh, did you use whatever to kill it? And he's all, nah, wood chipper beats just about everything.
And they're like, yeah,
like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
That it reminds me of that. Like, yeah, getting hit by a car is pretty much going to take anybody out.
Yeah. God. What if I just rewatch Supernatural?
I mean, nobody's going to stop you.
True.
Just skip the bad seasons.
So everything past 6 or past 5?
Yeah, pretty much. No, 6 isn't bad.
So 6 is fine. I don't like Soulless Sam.
No. I would always say like if you think about Supernatural, at least how I think about Supernatural, 1 through 5 are amazing.
Yeah.
5 through 10 are good, but not great. 10 to 15 are bad.
Yes. Yes.
Like there's some highs and lows within there. Like I remember season 11 being pretty good. And I remember I think it's like season 9 is pretty good.
Yeah.
But like season 15 is atrocious.
Yeah.
Season 14 is okay. 13 is not good.
No.
Yeah, it's just
it's
I'm serious. If we ever start a Patreon, we are going to do a Supernatural like rewatch bonus podcast that we put out for just like
Yes.
a paid subscription.
Yes. I'm down.
Because I think that's the only people who would want to listen to that would be like hardcore listeners.
Yeah.
Everyone else would be like, who cares about this show that ended 3 years ago?
All right. We do, apparently.
Apparently. We could even watch the 1-season prequel spinoff,
Oh, God.
The Winchesters.
The Winchesters that did terribly
Yeah.
because people were like, let the show die.
Yeah. They tried like 3 separate times
Yeah.
to make like a spinoff, a Supernatural spinoff, and none of them worked. Like,
Nope.
they tried that like all girl one, and it was like that
Yeah.
would have been interesting, but it didn't kick off. They tried that like monster mafia family thing, and that didn't work. Yeah, I don't know. They kept
Yeah.
trying though.
They did. But to no avail.
No.
It's
But
probably for the best.
yeah, I mean, you can still watch Jensen Ackles in The Boys.
True.
And you can watch Jared Padalecki on however many seasons of Walker there are. 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a Walker prequel series as well.
The fuck?
That's like takes place in like the 1800s. Jensen Ackles directed some of it. I don't know. That's all I know. I follow them on Instagram.
Nice.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I got too.
One thing I wanted to say. So this movie, well, okay, I got 3 last things. One thing. So this movie is kind of like a John Wick / Fast and Furious reunion movie. Before those movies even really came out. But so Chad Stahelski, who is the director of John Wick 1 through 4, and then David Leitch, who co-directed John Wick 1, they both worked on this movie as stunt coordinators, and then Chad Stahelski was the martial arts choreographer. So he kind of helped like coordinate Rizzo's like style. So that was those two, and they both worked on John Wick. Another John Wick alumni is the doctor, who we talked about earlier. And there was one other person who I can't remember, but this movie also has a lot of Fast and Furious alumni.
Fuck yeah.
So Sung Kang, who plays Han in Fast and Furious.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he's the gangster at the beginning who gets his hands cut off.
Yes.
Yeah. That guy gets fucked up.
Yeah. That was unfortunate.
Yeah. He looks way different in this movie. Like he's got the slicked back hair and he's got like bug eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Sung Kang. And then
Easy.
Rizzo's like ninja, like the guy he's like competing with. He is played by Ricky Yoon, who is he's the villain from the first Fast and Furious film, if you remember.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Damn.
And then lastly, Anna Sawai, who plays Kiriko, she is the girl who Han raises in Furious 9. If you remember, like they go to Tokyo and like they found out Han is like holding this girl who is like the key to whatever
bullshit.
Whatever MacGuffin they were doing in that one, yeah. Funny thing about her, she is like 30, but she's like super young looking. So in Fast and Furious 9, I think she's supposed to be like in her early 20s. And in that movie, she was already like 32.
Oh my God.
Because she's in this movie as like a young, like, you know, teenage sort of girl. and she was already in her 20s. So I'm like,
Wow.
I remember when I saw her in Furious 9, I was like, she's not a little girl.
Nope.
That's a 30-year-old woman. But yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about. So Raizo's chain weapon.
Yes.
It is not technically a real weapon that existed in Japan. And there are different chain weapons that have existed. Like there's the Kusarigami. And then there's also a Kyoketsu Shoge, which is like, they're both very similar. Like the Kusarigami has like a little blade. And then the Kyoketsu Shoge has like a sickle almost with like a chain, like a ball on the other end to kind of help balance it. But Raizo's is that weird, it's like a curved blade.
Yeah.
So they kind of just invented it for the movie, but I just think it's super cool. I got no complaints about it.
Oh, same. There's a guy on my that pops up on my TikTok occasionally. He's a martial artist, and he like specializes in the meteor hammer.
Oh yeah.
I love that thing.
I think it's super cool.
Yeah, and I think he's also talked about weapons like this with a blade on the end. And he like there's a video of him like kind of demonstrating how to use it. That shit's scary.
Oh yeah.
We kind of talked about how in this movie it's like they're kind of superhuman and it defies physics.
Yeah.
But some of that stuff like was actually kind of accurate.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, they definitely like, if you watch the behind the scenes, like Rain is swinging a chain. Like he is definitely like doing all that stuff, but they enhance it with CGI, which is like, it's very obvious when you watch it because it's like,
oh yeah,
2009 CGI. But yeah, I mean, some of that stuff is like doable. It's just the moments where he's like spin kicking and flinging the chain under his leg and wrapping it around somebody's like head or whatever. That you're like, he probably couldn't do that, but
no,
if you're a super trained ninja assassin, maybe you can. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, not that I'm encouraging anybody to do this, but you can purchase a replica of Raizo's chain on Amazon and get it shipped to you. I think it's like $40 or something like that.
Holy shit.
So in case you consider adding the Kusarigami to your home defense kit,
I'm going to do that.
All I'm saying is, if I was in a street fight and somebody busted out a chain with a blade at the end, I'm like, never mind.
Yeah, I'm good. Here, you can have whatever you want. I'm fine, actually.
It's like if you're ever in a street fight and you see a guy start doing like one of these, you're just like, you know what? Never mind. We don't need to fight. Like,
yeah. Or if they pull out some very specific weapon, like if they pull out like a gun or a knife, it's like, okay, well, whatever, right? You kind of expect that. But they pull out something like one of these, like the chain thing, or just like something very specific that like takes like actual training to use. It's like, oh no, I'm okay.
Yeah,
because clearly you know how to use it, and I'm gonna lose. So
yeah, like if somebody busts out that like Chinese spear that has like the feather at the end, you're done for. You're just like, that guy's gonna do some Shaolin shit on you, and you're gonna be chopped into 12 pieces.
Right, you're gonna be a kebab.
Or if they pull out that like nunchuck that's got like 3 pieces to it.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, you're done for.
Yeah, you're fucked.
In fact, nunchucks in general, if they pull out, you probably should just go.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good chance they're just gonna hit themselves in the nuts with it, but
but you can't take that chance.
No, you really can't. I wonder if somebody's ever calculated like how many instances of testicular torsion have happened because of nunchucks.
It's probably out there somewhere.
It's probably. Somebody, because there's a lot of idiots out there that just be flinging them right into their balls.
Yeah, because they think they're fucking like Jackie Chan or whatever.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee.
Underutilized, the nunchuck.
Yes.
There should be more movies with nunchucks.
Very versatile weapon.
It is. But anyway, that's all I got.
Hell yeah.
We've arrived at everyone's favorite part of the show. What would you rate this out of 10 shuriken?
8.
Oh, nice. 8 shuriken out of 10.
8.
I think I'm right there with you. I would give this an 8.
Yeah.
It's an easy watch. It's not going to change your life, but you know what? Sometimes it's just nice to put something on, you know?
Yeah. And it's better than Ballistic
Oh my god, yeah.
by a mile.
So many miles.
So many miles. It's better than Mexican American.
Well, most things are, yeah.
Yeah. It's just good.
It is very good. All right. Well, that's
Well.
2 8 out of 10s from us. Next time on Viva La Action. Beow, beow, beow. We're going to start our spooky month.
Hell yeah.
So we're going to be watching 2 spooky movies for the month of October, and we are starting with Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires,
Ooh.
which is a 1970s kung fu horror film. It's got vampires. It's got kung fu. It's got Peter Cushing.
Got everything you could ever want.
It's got lots of gratuitous nudity. It's gonna be sick.
Excellent.
What?
Hold on. I gotta write it down because I will forget. Hold on.
Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires.
Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires.
Yes. This may be an instance where you definitely won't be watching it on the Google Drive.
Ah, excellent, because we won't pirate it.
No, because I definitely don't have a Blu-ray that I bought specifically to rip.
Excellent. Oh, I'm glad you didn't do that.
Me too.
Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires. Fucking tight.
All right. So we will be recording that next time. So keep an eye out. But in the meantime, what should they do?
Like everything. Give us a review. Give us 5 stars. Interact with us on the social medias. It's Viva La Action everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I think that's it.
Okay.
We don't use Twitter because
No.
fuck that shit.
Fuck
Let's make it
Zelon.
Tumblr.
Yes. We'll start reposting GIFs from 2009.
Yeah.
Speaking of the YouTube channel, I'm catching up. So I just uploaded, as of recording date, I just uploaded Fury.
Nice.
So I'm way behind, but
Wow.
I'm catching up. That video, for some reason, did super well. It did like over 1,000 views in less than a week.
Holy shit.
I don't know why. And we got like 3 new subscribers off of it. So thank
Hell
you, everybody
yeah.
who watched that. If you're listening to this now because of that video,
Yeah.
welcome. It gets much less professional from here.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm catching up. Hopefully I'll have the rest of them uploaded by the next time we record. Yep, that's pretty much it.
Yep. Oh, and you can email us.
Yes, at
vivalaaction
vivalaaction@gmail.com.
Yep.
Somebody's always manning the email. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's Grayson.
Yep. I get them on my phone. I get the
Sometimes
little
it's-
notification.
Sometimes it's the spam filter.
Yep.
Because the AIs are out to get us, and they're always sending us emails.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep.
So thanks so much for listening. And
Yep.
we'll see you next time.
Bye.
You didn't get to see me swinging a lasso above my head.
That's okay.